You woke up on the couch, the soft fabric cool against your skin as morning light filtered through the tall windows. A blanket had been thrown over you at some point, and your fingers curled around it slowly as your eyes adjusted. The room wasn't yours, too warm in color, too masculine in design, too unfamiliar in every detail. The white gown you were still wearing rustled softly as you sat up, creased but expensive like the rust wedding it had been part of. You blinked hard, your back ached from sleeping awkwardly, your throat was dry, your makeup smudged, your hair barely holding the grace it had yesterday. Yesterday, and then it hit you. The day everything went downhill and then sideways. Your fiance had run away, left you stranded at the altar, humiliated, shaking, and in the chaos, your father, always more businessman than parent, had done the unthinkable to bury the shame, to crush the scandal, to spin the story that you weren't abandoned, you weren't defiled, you were in love and married just in time. To his secretary, yes, you were married, not to the man you had once loved, not to the man who played on your wedding day and left you soaked in shame and whispers, but to your father's secretary, a calculated decision, a last minute replacement, a public illusion to save your family name. You rubbed your eyes, still exhausted despite the silence. The couch wasn't uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. So was everything else. This wasn't your room, not your house, not even your taste. You stood slowly, bare feet touching the marble floor as you heard sound coming from downstairs, a clink of metal, a low voice. Curious, cautious, you padded across the hallway, the long white gown trailing behind you like the memory of a fairy tale gone wrong. And there he was, down below your father's one silent shadow. Now your husband stood barefoot on the open kitchen that merged with a sprawling yet modest living room, casual in a loose black tee and joggers, hair damp from a shower, sleeves pushed up, flipping something in a pan. A phone sat on the counter on speaker, and then you heard it. You really don't know your daughter's favorite food, sir? Sometimes your behavior makes me wonder, is she even really your daughter, or did you just adopt her to save your empire? Well, she is your wife now. You should know what she eats for breakfast. God help me. Or did I just hand her over to the UPS guy in a suit? Her fingers curled around the banister. There was a pause, a silence sharp enough to cut the glass. Look, sir, in my defense, your daughter slept in a wedding gown on a couch, and she looked ready to me with her veil. Forgive me if I didn't wake her up to ask, hey, sweetheart, eggs or pancakes? Your father signed like a man too old for this. Stays moody in the mornings, gets it from her mother. You might wanna write that down. Jungkook didn't even pause. All it did, right under don't touch your skincare products unless you wanna. Aren't you talking too much today? Your father's voice was tight warning. He let out a quiet cough, dragging a spoon across the bowl like it was just another morning. I always wanted to talk, sir, he said calmly, but I was just scared of losing my job. It pays well, like nothing else. You know, my salary can now afford a billionaire hair shampoo. You blinked, not sure whether to laugh or hold your breath. The sarcasm, the truth. He wasn't just mocking your father, he was mocking the entire performance they had all participated in. Your father's silence on the other end was deadly. You married her because I told you to, remember that? He snapped suddenly, startling even you. Not guilty for interrupting. You needed someone to clean up the mess, remember? I did that. You should be thanking me instead of calling me on my first wedding morning like I am your intern. Don't forget who writes your checks. And don't forget who married the woman you can't even call. Your father chuckled lightly. Are you two getting along at least? If she doesn't me before lunch, I would say we are doing better than most arranged couples. Jungkook smirked, flipping the pancakes again. Also, your lawyer says that a scandal is cooling down. Headlines now call me the mysterious knight in a black vans. Oh, good, your father replied sarcastically. Now they think I married her to you for love. Yeah, well, Jungkook muttered, glancing to both stairs. Imagine their faces when we actually start looking like we don't hate each other. And that's when his eyes landed on you. His smirk faltered for just a second, just long enough for you to see something else flicker there, something softer than to the phone. Picking up the lovely bride, seize up. The father's voice crackled again. Tell her if she is still in that gown, she is washing it herself. That thing cost more than your rent. Jungkook chuckled. Noted. That one stunned even you. His words, his tone, not desperate, just real. Now, if you are done pretending to be a father, he added, turning off the stove with a click, I will figure out what she likes for breakfast without your help. He ended the call and looked at you. You started to descend in the last few steps, barefoot, the hem of your gown trailing behind like something out of a dream or a hangover. He was watching you again. That same unreadable expression, part teasing, part firm, part holy freak. We are actually married. He didn't look away, he just breathed it, and so did you. You stood at the edge of the kitchen, arms crossed, hair a mess, wedding gown still trailing behind you like a stubborn ghost of yesterday's disaster. Your eyes scanned the kitchen and the man inside it with mild disbelief. John Jungkook, barefoot, half dressed, flipping pancakes with the confidence of a man who definitely didn't plan on being a groom 24 hours ago. But here he was, acting like breakfast after a fake marriage was just most normal thing in the world. You tilted your head, brows arcing as you muttered under your breath loud enough for him to catch. You know how to cook too. It was more of a suspicion than a compliment, maybe even a taunt. But roasting John Jungkook was a dangerous sport, one you were already losing. He didn't even pause. He slid the pancake into a plate like he was born in a five-star hotel kitchen and turned to you with the most infuriatingly smug smile. Of course, he said smoothly, leaning against the counter with his arms crossed. Lucky for you, you married an independent man who can cook, clean, and earn without yapping or winning. You know, a dream come true husband. You scoffed, rolling your eyes dramatically. Whoa, did you memorize that from some Husband of the Year Awards acceptance speech? He grinned. Nope, that just comes naturally when you are me. You walked closer, folding your arms tighter. You forgot to mention modesty on that list. That's the limited edition feature, he replied, sliding the plate toward you. Cost extra. You stared at the slightly burned pancake, then at him. But if I am allergic to your ego? He tilted his head playfully. Then again, lucky for you, my cooking doesn't contain ego, just a dangerous amount of charm. You rolled your eyes again, but your lips twisted before you could stop them. This was weird, too weird, but also oddly easy, too easy, and that made it even more dangerous. You picked up the fork, poking at the pancake like it had personally offended you. He leaned on the counter with that stupidly gorgeous face resting against his hand, watching you with the smug patience of a man who knew he had the upper hand. You looked up at him, at his easy posture, that effortless confidence, and the way he was somehow making this disaster feel like brunch. With a dramatic sign, you set the fork down and asked that pan, do you have a bar here? His brow lifted. At what, 9 a.m.? I didn't get to mourn, you replied seriously, folding your hands on the counter like it was a therapy session. My love life ended before I even realized I had gotten an independent husband who can cook and clean and doesn't yet. He snorted hard. Wow, you really are something else, he muttered, shaking his head as he stood straight. Broken, you corrected sweetly. That's the term people are using. He opened the fridge, pulled out a juice bottle instead of a whiskey, thank God, and poured you a glass. Sorry, madam, the minibar only stocks orange juice and sarcasm at this hour. You took the glass from him and narrowed your eyes. So you are saying I don't even get a heartbreak drink? He shrugged with a straight face. I'm your heartbreak drink now, slightly bitter, pairs well with regret. You choked on a laugh, then groaned. Why do you sound like a failed poet? I was your father's secretary for 4 years. That is a form of poetry. You sipped the juice. I should have run away too. He grinned. Too bad. Now you are stuck with me, dream husband and occasional emotional support bartender. You gave him a long look before much. I need stronger juice. He raised his glass to clink yours. Cheers to morning exes and gaining husband you didn't order. You blinked and burst into laughter, loud, unfiltered, the kind that shakes your shoulders and forces you to lean forward. Nearly rolling across the kitchen island, your head dropped onto your folded arms. It started as a chuckle, but then it just took over, and for a second the ache in your chest didn't hurt so much. The image of heartbreak juice, the idea of being stuck with an emotionally supportive secretary turned husband, it was too much, too ridiculous, too perfect. Jungkook paused you, his grin spreading wide, eyes crinkling at the corners. He leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, watching you laugh like he had waited years to see it happen. Whoa, he said, laughing under his breath. So dramatic. I married a whole theater troupe. You gasped between feasts of laughter. You called yourself a heartbreak drink. Who says that? A man who knew he's delicious? That only made you whiz harder. By the time you calmed down, you are insane, you said breathlessly, wiping the corner of your eye with the sleeve of your gown. Yep, he nodded, insanely mad. You stood up smiling and reached out your hand, and he took it with a dramatic gentleman's flourish. To being stuck, you said. To pretending we hate it, he grinned. And then it shifted. Still holding his hand, you didn't let go. You stepped closer. He didn't move, didn't flinch. You slowly slipped into his lap, and long folds of your gown flowing around his legs like a final curtain. His hand instinctively came up, wrapping around your waist, holding you like it was natural, like it was real. Your nose is almost brushed. His eyes flicked to your lips, then back to your eyes, cautious but burning. And then soft, deep, not rushed, but meaningful, like something unspoken had finally cracked open. Your fingers curled into the fabric of his shirt as you moved with his pre-tangled hearts pounding. You pulled back slightly, just enough to whisper into his ear, "Thank God your plan worked." He blinked, a flicker of shock and satisfaction in his eyes. "Wait, my plan?" You smirked, pressing your lips against his jaw. "Don't play dumb. You knew what you were doing." His grin returned, this time slow, smug, infinitely dangerous. "So you wanted to end up married to me?" You tilted your head, whispered back, "Let's just say I didn't protest." And just like that, breakfast turned into something far more intoxicating than any bar could ever offer. Your heels clicked furiously down the marble corridor of your father's office as you slammed open the door to the conference room where Jungkook was waiting. He looked up, expression tight, lips pressed into a flat line, one hand clutching a thick file you were already forming. "What is this?" you snapped, slapping the open file onto the table between you two. "Spying on my fiancé now? Really, Mr. Jungkook?" "It's not spying, if the truth was rooting out in open," he replied, voice calm but firm. "I didn't want to show you this. God knows I didn't, but—" "Then you should have stayed in your place," you shouted, voice shaking. "You're my father's secretary, Jungkook, not my bodyguard, not my brother, and definitely not someone I'm entrusted." The room went still. He swallowed hard, jaw clenched, eyes flicked down for a moment before he took a deep breath and stepped closer. "I know my place," he said, low and steady, "and I know his. That man you are planning to marry, he is not just cheating on you, he is leaking your father's business strategies to his competitors." You froze, a chill ran down your spine. "Lies," you whispered weakly. Jungkook looked you dead in the eye. "I saw him, Miss Ryan, at a private villa last week with the head of one of your dad's biggest rivals." This he gestured to the file. "This is the proof, documents, wire transfers, secret meetings, it's all there." You backed away, shaking, your hands trembling. You wanted to deny it, wanted to scream at him again, but the file sat open like a bound, every word, every signature played through. He stepped back too, giving you space, not speaking, not pressuring, and yet something about his quietness screamed louder than anything else in the room. You barely remembered how you got to car that night, or how the week passed after that. But you remembered yesterday, the morning of the wedding, the sky cloudy, your dress pressed, your heart heavy. You were in your room, staring into the mirror when the door burst open. Jungkook stumbled in, breathless, hair damp with sweat, suit half done, like he had run through an entire city. I came straight from Busan, he panted, holding up a file. Here, the last time I am informing you something you should know about your fiancé. He is not who you think he is. You turned sharply. What now, Mr. Unpaid Bodyguard? He slapped the file onto the table between you, spilled out photographs. Your fiancé, he is the youngest son of your father's biggest rival, son of his. He used your love to make your father weak and get his father trust in return. Your fingers tremble as you flip the pages. Khan Seo-yoon, your father enemy in business world with his family, and there in the old photo he was, the fiancé, like a shameful secret. He wasn't just cheating on you, he was planting destruction seeds inside your father's legacy. Jungkook continued walking closer. He planned it all, the engagement, the charm, the loyalty. It was so. He has been feeding information to your father's enemies. It was never about love, it was business, revenge. This wedding will be the finale. It didn't collapse like he expected, didn't scream, didn't even blink fast. You just gave the softest, strangest smile, and one single tear, fast and angry, slipped down your cheek. You wiped it off harshly with the back of your hand. Where is he? Downstairs? Room? Must be fixing his tie like a smug. Jungkook said bitterly, but you were already walking out, your heels clicking harshly, gown dragging behind you like a queen heading to war. Jungkook followed, confused, worried, trying to keep pace. Hey, wait, what are you going to do? You reached the groom suite, opened it. Your so-called groom stood before the mirror, adjusting his tie with a faint smirk like a villain proud of his performance. He walked in, calm, cold. Noticing you, your fiancé turned. Everyone's waiting. Are you ready, love? He didn't reply. He moved closer. Han Jae-yoon. You said coldly. He froze that name, his real name, not the name he introduced himself to you, not the sweet nickname you always used, cut through the air like a blade. Babe, what did you just call me? That's not. You scoffed, holding up the file. Your eyes locked with his. His face went pale the second he recognized what you were holding. Babe, I can explain. Explain what? You snapped. That you were going to ruin my father's company on our wedding day? That I was just your final trophy to get the surname of your father? He reached for your hand, and you jerked away. Don't touch me. Your haste. He went silent and then smoked. You wouldn't do this. Not today. Not with everyone downstairs. What about your father's reputation? What about the headline will go in tomorrow news? You crossed your arms. Oh, but I already have. The guard stepped in. Your fiancé stepped back. What the hell is this? Lock him in, you said calmly. Say he ran away. And the guards hold his arms. He protested. You will regret this. Your father will. My father already regrets having a daughter like me. You cut in. But he won't have to. Not anymore. As they dragged your fiancé out, he caught one last glimpse of your face, unshaken, proud. Jacob blinked, processing. Don't you think it will cause more damage to your father's image? And what about you? You will be called a discarded bride. That's not how this should end. You gave a bitter chuckle, turning to Jungkook. No, I'm getting married anyway. You just have to follow along. He paused, realization dawning, and then softly asked, won't you feel ashamed marrying your father's secretary? You turned to him slowly, eyes sharp and fierce. So, what do I do now? Jungkook blinked. The heat in your voice hit him like a slap. He stared at you, lips slightly parted, surprised by your fury. You exposed him. You handed me proof. You knew I wouldn't go through with it after seeing those files. You came running from Busan like some damn night. Was it always about you? Your voice cracked slightly at the end, from hurt, from confusion, from the betrayal of a world you thought you understood. Jungkook slowly shook his head, jaw tightening. No, he whispered, just that firm, low denial. One word that made you just tighten. Then why, Jungkook? He demanded, eyes searching his. Why would you destroy my wedding? Why would you dig into him knowing it would break everything? He gave a broken smile, voice calm but heavy. because he was using you, because he was teaming up with the same people who tried to ruin your father's business years ago, because I couldn't just stand back and watch him crush the man who gave me a second chance in life, the only man who didn't let me fall apart when I had nothing, who gave me a job, a roof, reason to stand back up. He moaned. And I'm not going to let him break today because of a man who never loved his daughter in the first place. You stared at him, your breathing was uneven, because his voice faltered, just slightly softer now, because I couldn't watch you walk into a lie and lose yourself. You stared at him like he had just flipped the world upside down. Your heart clenched in that moment. You realized this man in front of you wasn't just trying to protect your father's name, he was protecting you quietly, fiercely. I did it so your father doesn't war today, so you don't war. But yeah, marrying you, that's a bonus. You held his gaze, the chaos, the betrayal, the locked door, none of it mattered. Fix your time, Mr. John. We have got a wedding to crash. He leaned back on his lap, arms lazily looped around his neck, the soft morning glow spilling across the kitchen like some kind of divine approval of your chaos. The laughter had settled, but your heartbeat hadn't. Not after the kiss, not after that moment. You tilted your head, eyes squinting just a bit, voice playful, but leaned with genuine curiosity. So you love me now? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stole the half eaten bite of your pancake you were about to bite, like it was payback for the mess you put him through. You gasped in betrayal, sweating his chest. Hey, he mumbled through the bite, chewing with exaggerated satisfaction, before finally replying, no, I had crush on you first, a dumb, doomed crush that kept going while I watched you almost marry a corporate snake. You blinked, he swallowed, the humor in his eyes softening. So yeah, I loved you, even when you ignored me for 2 years straight and treated me like your father's favorite furniture. You snorted. That's not true. You literally called me assistant boy once when your appa told me to block your car. Okay, maybe true. We both laughed again, light and airy, but when the quiet settled this time, you touched his jaw gently, more seriously now. He stiffened hard in his throat when he asked, so about you I know for sure you hate me. You sighed, turning to your plate, pretending to be busy in eating. I already told you last night I'm married and I should be loyal to my husband. You leaned your head against his shoulder. Just start slow with me, okay? I'm still bounded, still unpacking everything. He nodded, brushing a thumb across your cheek. I know it's hard to move on, and I'm not asking you to forget the mess overnight, he said softly, but I'm asking to be the one you clean it up with. You smiled just a little. Then he leaned in like he was about to kiss you again, but this time his lips pressed against your cheek as he whispered dramatically, also, if you need help getting over your tragic past, my kisses make excellent hangover drinks. You laughed into his chest, arm tightening around him. You are so annoying. Dream husband, remember? He grinned. You rolled your eyes, but you didn't pull away because somehow in the ruins of a shattered wedding, you had found a husband worth falling for. Even if it takes time, it felt right.